Hey, so long-awaited video. I've officially had the Bilstein shocks, 6112 front coilovers and 5160 remote reservoirs on my truck for about 5,000 miles, and I wanted to give you guys my honest opinion on if they're worth it, if I would buy them again, would I recommend them, how's the ride quality, on-road, off-road, all these questions. I hope to answer most of them right now. First things first, how hard is it? A lot of these suspension kits require either a professional to install them or a garage with a bunch of tools in it that most people either already have or will have to buy just to do this kit. That being said, is it really that difficult? I wouldn't say it's super difficult, but I will say that you at least need yourself and one other person to actually put this kit together. I'm gonna put some footage of the install on the front and the rear set of shocks for you, and it is a bit of a project. However, it can be done, and you could do it in a single day on the weekend, and the whole process take you maybe half a day, 5 or 6 hours or something like that. The Bilstein 6112 5160, you could buy it as a kit. I think they call it a stage 2 kit, and it's about $900. So for $900, you get the reservoir, the shock reservoir for the front end, including a bump stop and some bolts and that sort of thing. And then for the shocks in the rear, it's the 5160. So that has the actual remote reservoir so that you can better dissipate heat on those long off-road trips when you're going over tons of washboard roads or whatever like that. So pretty good value, I would say. If you're going to be doing this yourself, I highly recommend that you physically take your new 6112 kit with your stock OEM spring to somebody that has a hydraulic large industrial spring compressor and have them do it, because I'll put some footage up. It is a long, painful process to actually compress the springs enough to get your top hat on and do the full assembly of the coilover yourself. It can be done. You buy like a $50 Harbor Freight tool and you can do it, but it's super sketchy, and being honest, I would not do that again. I would absolutely either go rent a hydraulic one that, rent it for $100 and then return it and know that I'm going to be safe, it's going to be way faster, and I'm not going to have to worry about it, or take it to a shop and have them do it. The rear shocks, on the other hand, are extremely simple and easy. You don't even have to lift the truck up off the ground. You can just simply loosen 2 bolts per shock, drop them out, put the new ones in, attach the reservoir to the 5160 shock, and you're done. So the difficulty of the whole thing, not that hard, minus the spring compression. As far as cost, for this kit, I'm sure you're well aware, it's going to run you probably $900 to $1,000 to get the kit. That's if you buy it as a kit. It might cost you a little more. If you buy every part separate, it might cost you a little less, depending on if you get it on sale and where you buy it from. I got my kit for about, I want to say it was like $880 or something, so about $900. I will say that if you're considering buying this kit and you're considering lifting or leveling your truck at the maximum height adjustment of 2 inches, I would definitely highly suggest changing your upper control arms, because as you'll see in some of the footage, you do, when your suspension is at full sag, actually make contact with your spring. So if you're only looking to level your truck and you're not planning on doing any off-roading at all, you don't have to get the upper control arms. But if you're looking at this kit, you're probably looking at taking your truck off-road at least once or twice a month. So you definitely want the capability to either fully compress or fully sag your suspension without having clearance issues with your upper control arm hitting your spring itself and causing premature wear and damage to your new suspension that you just bought. So you can get upper control arms for anywhere from $300, probably even less than that. You could get upper control arms for like $100 all the way up to like $1,000 depending on what you buy. I ended up going with somewhere in the middle. If you're looking at this Bilstein kit, you're probably not wanting to spend $3,000 or $4,000 just to upgrade your suspension. You probably are just like me and want to spend a decent amount of money, not get something worse than what is already on your truck, but you also don't want to completely change the whole dynamic of your vehicle and have other problems and things you have to modify just to make it work. So I ended up going with a Tough Country upper control arm. Does the same thing as an Icon or whatever brand you end up finding, and it's only about $300. So highly recommend those if you're going to put this kit together. Comparable kits are going to run you anywhere from $2,000 all the way up to $4,000. So ride quality. A lot of people that are buying this kit are very concerned with on-road ride quality. This kit is going to make your front end stiffer. And you are essentially preloading it a little bit more than the stock suspension to achieve the lift of the front end. If you go to the maximum setting, you're going to get that 2 inches of lift, which helps you clear larger tires and also takes a lot of the factory nosedive out of it and give you a little bit better off-road and on-road performance. But it does come at a cost of the front end will feel stiffer. You're not going to necessarily float over things. You're going to feel it a little bit more. But in my opinion, that's better. A stiffer suspension means that it's pushing back on the ground a bit harder. You have better traction, better control, and in my opinion, it feels better. When it's stiffer, I feel more in control as opposed to when it's softer and I go like this and you have a lot of body roll. Because it's stiffer, you have a lot less body roll, and in my opinion, I like it a lot better. One thing I will say about the stiffness and on-road ride quality, it does definitely loosen up over time. So when it's brand new and you just barely put it on there, it's going to feel pretty stiff. I drove straight from doing this kit with my buddy to a shop, had them do the front end alignment, and right after the alignment fixed a lot of the issues, and then after about 5,000 miles I could tell you it's definitely a lot more comfortable now than it was like 3,000 or 4,000 miles ago. It probably just settled a little bit, maybe a quarter of an inch or so, and it does definitely feel a bit better on road. As far as off-road, basically all the same things apply. Definitely perform better than my stock versions. I think that's mostly because it is a physically larger shock, so it has more fluid, it dissipates heat better. Because it has more fluid, it doesn't get as hot as quickly. The hotter it gets, the worse it performs. That's why all these really expensive kits have remote reservoirs to help keep the heat down so that performance stays as high as possible for as long as possible. But if your whole goal for getting a different suspension over your stock suspension is to have a more comfortable experience off-road, and you're not planning on airing down your tire pressures or anything like that, I think you'll be disappointed in this kit. They're not super soft like Foxes are, so you're not just going to glide over huge whoops and just blast through all the trails when you're running 45 pounds of pressure in your tires. That being said though, if you do lower down your tire pressure, you're definitely going to glide through stuff a lot better. And because that suspension is a bit stiffer, it'll actually keep your wheels better in contact with the ground, which improves handling a lot, and it really improves just kind of the feedback that you get from your suspension. Now, if your only goal is to level the truck for on-road, then I would not recommend this kit. You can buy this kit for about, let's say, $1,000, and if your only goal is to drive it from home to work to the grocery store to the gym and home again, and that's all you're gonna do, save yourself $800, go buy a puck spacer kit and slam that in your truck and you'll be just as happy. So would I recommend this kit? Short answer, yes. I would recommend it if your goal is to have a budget off-road solution to your stock suspension. It is a true upgrade for your suspension. It's not a downgrade, it's not a parallel move. I definitely think it's an upgrade. You get better clearance, better performance on-road and off-road, and larger shocks, which means you could drive harder, longer, and not have to worry about degrading performance due to buildup of heat and that sort of thing. If you have minimal gear, your truck's not that heavy, it's close to stock, you just like to get out every weekend or every other weekend or once a month or whatever, I think this kit is very good and I would definitely recommend it. With that, I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. I do videos on gear, overlanding, building my truck, and just being outside and exploring my local backyard. So, thanks for watching. Stay safe, go outside, and explore.